Hey YouTubers, he's back and it's another pickup video. And today is it's mostly retro stuff actually, apart from a few. Well, newest thing is it's probably one PS3 game, but all apart from that, it's all retro stuff. Apart from Vinyl of the Month and one or two other non-gaming goodies, which I'll show you in a bit. A lot of the stuff I've been picking up over the past few weeks, but most of it is I picked up randomly over the past 6 months. So if you think, bloody hell, he spent a lot over the last few weeks, but actually it's not a lot over the last few weeks. Some things I've picked up here and there over the last 6 months, to be perfectly honest. So it's quite a lot to show. As always, make a start with Vinyl of the Month. And I've gone for this Monty box set. It is, I think it's the 30th anniversary of Terminator 2, and this includes loads of goodies. It has a sort of a lentricular art, which is nice. Unopened silver vinyl soundtrack, which is awesome, which I will open, listen to, and also Terminator 2, the 4K Ultra HD multi-pack, which includes Blu-ray edition and 3D Blu-ray edition, as well as the HD stuff. So that's really nice to have all those goodies. Over the past few weeks, last week and this week, I got my daughter to watch the first 2 Terminator movies. She really enjoys them. And tonight I might get her to see the third one with James Cameron did, Fate of... something, Dark Fate, or what it was called. Obviously there's those other movies as well, which technically according to Cameron aren't canon, but they're still okay in their own right, so I might show her them at some point, but I just wanted to focus on the canon story, so to speak, really, so not to put her off really, but she really enjoyed them. She loves Arnie, so we'll get her into some other Arnie movies, and she's a bit shocked how old he is actually. Especially when you see him in the buff in the first movie. I know he's semi in the buff in the second, but you don't see his bum cheeks in the second movie. Not that I would want to, but the girls like it. Anyway, I digress a little bit. What else we got, which aren't exactly games? It's clues in the hat from the Disney store. I probably picked this up 6 months ago. Is some vintage action figure style merchandise. So it's a Star Wars hat based on the vintage Power Toy Kenner figures. This was reduced to about half price, and at the same time half price I got this little bag which has got a nice bit of vintage Power Toy and Kenner figures on the back. It's got badges on the front. You open it up, action figures on art style in the back inside. It's really nice actually, and also at the same time, because everything was half price on the Disney store website, I got this t-shirt which has got sort of funny sayings on the back on action figures. It says Obi-Wan, says these are not the toys you're looking for, and on the back Darth Vader saying I am your father, and someone saying move along and stuff like that. So to get a licensed vintage figure toy t-shirt is pretty cool by my book, especially when it's half price from the Disney store. I mean, I would have paid full price for these, to be fairly honest, but because we're at half price, I thought I'd get those, and I'll probably keep those with my vintage Star Wars bits actually. So yeah, keep that nice. Okay. Well, make a start on the games. I'll get the 2 newest games out of the way, because I think people are rather I focus on the older stuff. So one PS3 game, I finished collecting for PS3, but I realised I didn't have this version of Dragon Age Origins, which has a bonus disc of Dragon Age Origins Awakening. So that's all completely finished now. I will officially have stopped collecting for PS3 now. So I'll just put that there out of the way. And then one DS game. It's really about 4 or 5 DS games I'm after. I think it's about number 1 or 2 cheaper ones, and then the other ones are all some big hitters. But this is Mario and Luigi's Bowser Inside Story. Got that from CX4. I think it's about 20 odd pounds. Not too expensive. All complete. I got this on 3DS as well, but I like to have a DS version. While we're on Nintendo, let's do a bit of GameCube. Again, officially I've finished collecting for the GameCube, but there's a few little games which I never picked up because they weren't priorities, but I saw them and I got them for a reasonable price. So for this one, I think I got this really cheap off eBay. Actually, I think it was about £25, and that's Pokemon Channel. So that's really good, all complete. And these other 2 games, one's really cheap and one's more expensive, and I can't remember. I think it's this one that's cheap. Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2, I think. And then Phantasy Star Online Episode 3, The Card Revolution. So both of them are complete. I know it's limited gameplay because the server's off. I don't know if you can play a card game or not, I can't remember now, but they're more collectibles for the Game collection. And that's it. Definitely finished with a GameCube now. Famous last words. Talk of famous last words. Geordie Slasher Gaming. He picked up some additional games for his horror collection a few months back. And there was a couple of Scooby-Doo games which I've never seen or heard of actually. I had these on a Wii, but I never saw them on the PS2. And so I didn't know it existed until he talked about them. And so I bided my time, being patient, and I was able to get the UK PAL copies for both these games for really good prices actually. I bought these probably about 2 months ago, and I can't remember what I paid, but it wasn't expensive. It was below a normal going rate on eBay, so got Scooby-Doo First Frights. This is like brand new condition. And Scooby-Doo The Spooky Swamp, all English UK. So again, they weren't a lot of money, or 2 of them. I think together may have been about £45 in total, the total cost for those 2, which is really good because they're not common games by far. Okay, I finished collecting for PS2 UK PAL set. We know about that now, but also I finished collecting for the Japanese games, and there was 3 games which I had my want list for a long time, which I finally bit the bullet and got. One is Sega Rally 2006, and you say, what's so special about that? You can get that in the UK, you can, but not the box set, which includes Sega Rally Championship as a separate standalone disc. So it's a really nice set to have. I think this was about £35 imported from Japan. The other game I also got from Japan is a Transformers game. And it's not the Transformers game that we got in 2004, I think it was, which is based on the Armada, Transformers Armada. This is more Generation 1, based on the Takara toy range and everything. It's voiced by the same by English cast as well as Japanese, but you got English. You got options to hear it all in English and have English language play. So this is a game that plays completely fine in English. It never got a Western release for whatever reason. Don't know why, but it's Transformers Takara, and this game, a lot of people have never heard of. It's not super common either, so it's not as cheap as the game. So I think I paid about £35–40 for that, so good to have. And a lot of people say it's better than the Armada game anyway. And there's one other game I got, which is this one, and you may think, what on earth is that? It's some sort of tabletop vintage arcade machine. It is. This is part of what they call the Oritachi Gessen Zoku series of games. I think there's about 19 releases in total by Sega,
And basically what they've done is they took some old arcade games and ported them to the PS2, so that it's like emulation play. And what they've done is they've included loads of freebie goodies inside the set. So what do you get in a set? Well, let's open up and see. This is all complete, by the way, and it's a really nice set actually. This one, by the way, is Sonic Wings. It's Volume 6 Sonic Wings, which is a superb game. I know there was a Sonic Wings special port brought out on a PS1, but this is one for a PS2, and this is supposed to be very good in Tate mode and everything else. Comes with a little collector's card. Comes with a I think it's either a sort of a manual, 4-picture manual. It also comes with a guide to the game itself, which is separate to a manual. It has a lot about the moves and everything else. Comes with a controls sort of card set, and in the card set, in the back of it, there is CD soundtrack, mini CD, and a mini DVD, which has, I think it's got trailers and gameplay footage and other things. So it's a DVD one, that one there. So it's all complete. A nice little set. I think it was about the £50 mark this was, so it wasn't cheap imported. But it's such a nice little set really. And if you like Sonic Wings as a game, which I do, then and your bullet hells, I think it's a good one to have for a set if you collect imports. And I do think, I found, I don't know about you guys, I mean, I'm homing down on my Japanese import list. I think I've got probably about 10. I'm upgrading some of my Saturn repros to original copies, and so there's about 10 which I want to get on a Saturn Japanese, and there's about, I think in total, about 20 other games from Japan I'm wanting to get, mostly PS1s to be honest. But I've noticed, unfortunately, in the past 6 months especially, the price of these games are, they really are going up silly money. They are. Even though they're not rare in Japan, there's still plenty of supply. It's just the prices have jumped up for whatever reason. Don't know why. I really don't know why it is. But I'm hoping the prices will settle down a bit, because they are a bit silly at the minute. But they may not. They may stay high over time. And so I'm sort of slowly powering through that list, getting a few here and there, just so I can finish that list off really from Japan really. I've finished collecting games from the States, but it's just those odd ones I want to get from Japan. And yeah, I mean, I don't need to tell you guys, if you're a game collector, don't ignore games, exclusive games from other countries, because there are many goodies. Okay, let's do even more old school. These are probably the oldest games I've got here. I've got a job lot of Atari 2600 games from the States. Now, the reason why I got these from the States is that they include 1 or 2 titles which are hard to get in PAL. And I believe it's not. I think these machines will play on the UK machine. I'm pretty sure. As long as, I don't know. I don't think they need modding or anything else. I think they do play. Or there's easy ways around it. So they do play these carts, even though they're from the States. So there's Moonsweeper, Fathom. A lot of these games are actually quite good. Pressure Cooker, Jungle Hunt, Donkey Kong, the classic. And these last two are the reason why I've gone for a bundle is I wanted a copy of E.T. and also Alien, the movie port, which is basically a sort of Pac-Man clone type game. So yeah, I got all those. It would have been about 40 quid, but I had to pay about another £20 import charges from It wasn't FedEx this time, it was another company or postal service or whatever. We got stung with a £20 fee to pay, so ended up about £60 in the end. Which, considering some of those titles are quite pricey and expensive, it's not stupid money, it isn't, so it's not bad. But yeah, not a bad job lot really. It's not that many trade for 600 games I'm after really. I think it's about another 5 or 6 I'm after. But sometimes it's good to get a job lot to get some titles cheaper. Okay, what shall we do now? I think we do some more Nintendo goodies, shall we? Yeah, and then I think we may go on to Sega and PlayStation. So on the Nintendo, over the past few months, I've been getting always been checking out my local CEX. My new CEX, I've got two. I've got one in Grays, which is okay, but the better one is in Lakeside. And they get a lot of people dropping off retro games in there, and they don't always display them. I noticed that when I was chatting to them before, I asked them about games. I said, "Oh yeah, you should always check out our retro drawers." And I said, "Retro drawers?" Yep. I got 2 drawers for overstock of retro games, and it's always good to see what they got in, because sometimes they get put in the more interesting titles in those drawers and not on the shelf for whatever reason. And so these 2 I picked up from there. I think this was about a £25 mark. WWF No Mercy Complete. Yeah, just to finish off my N64 collection. I thought, I've been thinking about humming and hawing about getting a good wrestling game, and a lot of people say this is probably the best one for the system. And then last week I was in there and I saw this game, and I didn't know this existed, which is unusual really. It's a Konami game, a Konami role-playing game on a Nintendo 64. Can anyone guess what that might be? It's called Hybrid Heaven, and basically it's the artwork and the graphics, it just reminds me so much of Deep Fear, or from the PlayStation or some Saturn games. It really does. But basically it's a RPG set in the near future, whereby you're an alien really, and there's an alien invasion going on, but you're human. But you're an alien shaped for human, if that makes sense. So it's a bit like what was that movie? Is it They Live, or whatever it's called? They Live, that Carpenter movie I'm thinking of. I think it's called They Live. Oh, guy with sunglasses. You know what I mean. I think it's They Live. I think it is. But anyway, so it's kind of that sort of inspired, but it's an RPG. I think it usually lasts about 9 hours. All complete. It was about £45, which again is a really good price for this, because this typically goes for about £75 on eBay. So yeah, I thought I'd have that. I'll collect that for the system. Add it to the system, I should say. Okay. There was this shooter game which I didn't have for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I picked up a copy for a Game Boy actually, which it's actually on my shelf for all my Game Boy stuff, so I can't get to it a bit. But anyway, there was an NES port, and I thought I'd get that, so I got this. I can't remember what I paid for it, but it's all complete. Beret Fighter, all complete with manual and everything. UK one, so Woolworths, £25, 53p price mark on it. Funny price, isn't it? 25.53. But yeah, so I was really glad to have that for the NES collection. Sort of like a Forbidden Worlds type gameplay, which we'll talk more about in a bit. There was a couple of SNES games I've been thinking about getting, but they're quite it's ridiculously expensive, especially if you go for the PAL copies, either loose or boxed. So I thought I'd get some Japanese copies of these games, which I've done, and I got to put them in my universal cases, which I printed off, and they look superb. So I've got the Capcom game King of Dragons in a nice universal case, artwork, and these, I love these cases. I think they just look so good, the games too. And also Knights of the Round Capcom. Again, when you got them on the shelf, they do look nice. And I've said this before, if I was collecting SNES games and NES games from scratch now, I'll just go cart only. I wouldn't bother getting boxes. I think they're just, if you start getting complete games, you're increasing the price 2 or 3 times at least, aren't you? So yeah, universal cases are lovely in my opinion in most cases. Right, got some Sega, some Mega Drive, and I got from AliExpress this Mega Drive Evercart, which is the Mega Drive free Evercart. It has on the cartridge the complete Mega Drive collection, Sega Master System games and Game Gear games on there, and it supports 32X games as well. It does. This is really good. It's not silly expensive. I think it's about £30. It comes in a nice box, and there's a good quality transparent cartridge actually. It's not cheap rubbish, which you usually expect from China. It's actually quite good. So a lot of people recommend these actually, and it's a cheap Evercart. So yeah, I wanted to all the a way of playing the entire Mega Drive library on my original Mega Drive, my modded 60Hz Mega Drive. I've now got the carts to play, but it's nice to have this to play them on instead. I mean, I've got all the ROMs installed on my Retro Freak anyway, but and many ways of playing the games. But I just thought, yeah, an Evercart, why not? Especially when it's not too expensive. And in sort of a paradoxical logic to that, I've got some more Mega Drive games, which kind of think, why you done that when you got a Mega Drive card? Don't ask. Us collectors are a strange breed. We like to have original games as well, copies. And so there was 3 original games I've been having my eyes on. Well, I say 3, it's more than that. There's a few. And these are what games I've been collecting over the past 6 months. So there were a few a lot of these are big hitters. One, I went for the Genesis copy because it was only £25 complete, and that is Forbidden Worlds, classic game, classic shooting game. It is Capcom, isn't it? Pretty sure it is. Yeah, pretty sure it's Capcom. Forbidden Worlds, I could be wrong, but yeah, it's either Sega or Capcom. But anyway, a really good game I wanted, which I not had. And these other games, I managed to get these complete with manuals. This one was from eBay actually, I think, or was it? No, tell a lie. It was yeah. All these games I got from CEX, but it took me several months to do because I had to buy multiple copies to have a good chance of getting a decent copy with manual, which I can Frankenstein from the other copies, and then return the ones aren't so good. That's what I've done. So I managed to create these games. So I got Castlevania The New Generation. That wasn't so difficult to do. Michael Jackson Moonwalker. That wasn't so difficult to do as well. I didn't have to buy too many copies to do that. And but this took me about bloody 5 copies of the bloody game to get one with a manual, and the rest is all decent condition. Probotector. So yeah, finally got managed to sort out a decent copy in the end at CEX prices, which is not so bad. This other game I actually got from eBay. I think it was about £60 mark. I think Sunset Riders Complete, which is really good, cheaper than CX. Also, while I was looking for retro draws and CX at my local one, I had these couple of Master System games, which were one was £8, the other was 12. So 12 was Space Harrier Complete, and £8 was Spider-Man Complete. So 20 quid. I didn't have those, so I thought, yeah, I'll get those. And shall we do? Let's do PlayStation. I thought I'd finish collecting for PlayStation, but there's a few games I did not have, and I thought, oh, sorry, I'll get them. They've been nagging at me. One is NFL Blitz 2000. Not an expensive game. I think that was about £6 posted. The other games are not so cheap. The first, Nightmare Creatures, quite a classic, which I think it was about £25 mark. And then there's Nightmare Creatures 2, and that's a harder one. That was more expensive. I think that was a bit about £70 mark. Or maybe it could be, I don't know, maybe it's between 60 and 70. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, not an easy game to get. That's coming on a PAL system. These other two games were quite cheap actually. Vigilante 8, I did not have, and the sequel Vigilante 8 to Second Offense. And this other one, I can't remember what I paid for this. I think it wasn't a lot. Vampire Hunter, all complete. Another game which I heard about, someone else picked up on a YouTube video, and I thought, oh, I haven't got that. This sounds interesting. Syndicate Wars. It's a sequel to another game which for life of me I can't remember, but I did have it, and that's why I picked that one up. I thought, oh, I haven't got that. But it's just escaped my mind what that's a sequel to or prequel to or something like that. Okay. Like I said before, there's a few Japanese PS1 games I've been wanting to get, and I've got some here, but it's like I said, there's at least another 14, I think, other ones I want to get, which some of them aren't cheap either. So one of them that isn't cheap is Captain Commando, but it's still cheaper than trying to get the is it a SNES port or NES port? I can't remember. You can get it on the Nintendo system. I think it's SNES. It's cheaper than the SNES version to get the PlayStation, the Japanese PlayStation, and it plays better. I think it was about £35 mark. This game, I can't remember what I paid. Actually, these next ones, I can't remember what I paid. They are on the lower end of the eBay price range, whatever they are. Okay, so I got here Gradius Gaiden or Gaiden. Again, some of these games I have on other systems like Saturn. The Salamander Deluxe Pack Plus. On a shooting, Fix here, Daytona Trimby Yahoo Deluxe Pack. I think that one wasn't too bad actually. I think that's quite cheap, that one. Okay, and that's a PlayStation. Okay, quite a rarity here. I didn't have this. I got a few other expensive Philips CDI games. That's what it is, Philips CDI now. So it's got a bit of a diversion from PlayStation. But this game I've been wanting to get, but it had always been too expensive. And then I was looking on eBay, and someone was saying it for a buy it now price that was really, really low. I think it was about £60 mark, and that's Hotel Mario. Yeah, I think this game can easily go for some places double that, I would imagine. It's not a cheap game, not nowadays. It probably was relatively cheap 10 years back, but then again everything was. But yeah, this is quite. It's a bit like elevator action. This game is supposed to be probably not as good, but it's still one of the better Philips CDI games on the system, and it's Mario on the Philips system, which is really unusual. Okay, a couple of PC Engine games on the HuCards. One used to be dirt cheap, but it's actually a price is creeping up on this, even though it's a terrible shooter. And that is Deep Blue. I got this for £25. Now, I'm sure you could have got it for a tenner about 2 years ago, but now it's gone up. It is one of those games that, even though it's bad, is not cheap anymore, unfortunately. Again, that is much better. I can't remember what I paid for this. I think it was about a £40 mark. The first download. This is quite a sci-fi shooting type game. You play as a character which is a bit like a Kira type-esque. And there's a sequel which you can get on a PC Engine CD, which is really good as well. Download 2, I think it's just called Download 2, which is more expensive than this, I think. But again, I have a Philips CDI system, so I don't think I'll bother with that. But I think it's sort of based on like an alternative reality in the future. What happened if Hitler had won the war type thing, and you're in Japan, and what society's like, and I think you sort of enter a virtual world through your internal net for your head or something, and so it's a bit of a strange concept, but it's a shooting game whereby that's how it works. It's all sort of what's that what are those sci-fi games? I can't remember now. It's very sci-fi in that respect. Okay. Philips CDI. There's a few other cheap games which I never picked up, so I thought I might as well pick them up while they're not too badly priced. I already had the second game, but I thought I'll get the other ones which I wanted. So that's the first Samurai Spirits. I had the second one, and Samurai Spirits 3 and Samurai Spirits 4. I think the only other Neo Geo CD game, Samurai Spirits, is the RPG, which is no point because it's all Japanese, so there's no point having that. But and you can't, and this, you can't use translation patches on the Philips CDI system, so it's still not possible to play at the moment. But yeah, they're cool. They weren't too expensive. No, I think they're roughly between £15 and £30 each, depending on the title. Okay. I think we do some Dreamcast. There are here one modern game. A lot of people picked this up a few months back. Postal. It was like a banned game, but it's been ported to a Dreamcast, and this is a physical copy of the game. Who produces it? I can't remember. They've produced a lot of new games recently. Is it by Wave? Hello, Wave. No, yeah. Postal. And these other two games are by Pixel Heart. I think I got these in part of the collector's box set, but I wanted them. I thought I'd get the standalone edition as well. So we've got Wolf Flame, another sci-fi shooter, and Satius next, or Satius next. There so many great new games coming out on the Dreamcast. Look, Blue Spines. I know some people don't want to collect these new games, but I'm thinking if you've gone to all the trouble of collecting a full original GameCube, I mean not GameCube, Dreamcast set, you must love Sega and the game. I mean not GameCube, Dreamcast. You must love that system. So why don't you get the new games as well? I just don't get it. If you just don't want to collect any more of the games, then I do question why you have a full set in the first place, really, because there are good games out there, but I guess I don't know. I guess it's about having limits and boundaries, really. But you're just missing out on so many good games, I think. Anyway, everyone to our own. Another new game, Ghost Blade. This is Josh Prod production. Okay, some older games which I got relatively quite cheap. I picked up 2 of these for £8 each in unbroken cases, believe it or not, from Cash Converters. So that is Coaster Works. You build roller coasters, tracks. Not really my cup of tea, but for £8 for a complete Dreamcast game, I thought, why not? You can pay double that in CX. So I thought, yep, and why not? And also they had Aero Rings. So I thought, cool. Again, cheap. So I thought I have to get, if I got the first game, I have to get the second. So off eBay, I managed to get the second one all complete. This is a lot more expensive actually. I think it's about a £30 mark. And there's other 2 games where I was watching videos on, people recommended these, which I did not have, and that was Charge and Blast, a sort of running shooting type game. Run and gun, whatever you call them. And a rather fun arcadey racing type game, Speed Devils. So yeah, I thought, why not? I don't know what I paid for those, they weren't expensive. Talk off. I've got some import Dreamcast to show you. James, Retro Import Gamer, showed his Samadi Amigo PAL Maracas set, and he's got the PAL copy of a game which he bought in a day, which is worth silly money now. I don't think it's just so much a Maracas set, even though that's quite expensive. What's really expensive is the PAL game. If you look on eBay, some people are asking about £400 for the game alone. I know, mad. So I thought, I had the Wii copy of the game, and I thought, shall I get the Dreamcast? And I thought, I'm not paying that PAL price for it. It's just too much. It is too much. So I went for this. I got the Japanese Maracas. Somebody on eBay, believe it or not, I think they just wanted to get rid of it cheap and quick. Sold this all complete for £60. Yeah, buy it now, £60 with shipping. You can easily pay double that for that. He had a burnt copy of the game with it as well inside it, which I've in there, but it's all complete. It's got the manuals and everything. So I thought, I'll get the game. But then I realised from James's video there's not actually one version of the game, it's actually a sequel too. So I got a first game, and a seller on eBay was selling the first game all complete in a sealed copy, and I got this for £18 with shipping. So I thought, lovely, very nice. And I managed to get the second game, which is called Samadi Amigo version 2000. I got this for it wasn't expensive. I think it was about £30 with shipping. It wasn't too expensive, which is a really good price. You can pay a lot more on that. So managed to get those 2 for about 50, and with that, so 50, 60, 110. Not bad, is it? For the Dreamcast, not bad at all. Okay, what else we've got to show you? Okay, we have some more Dreamcast to show. Okay, this one is been on my want list for a long time. It's Vampire Chronicles, Japanese game. Vampire Chronicle for matching service. It's all Darkstalkers. I can't remember what I paid for these now. New and sealed copy of Typing of the Dead, the Japanese copy. I do have the Dreamcast keyboard, and yeah, I was just wanted. Actually, that's not a Japanese copy. That is the American copies. It's all English. Yeah, that's what it was. I knew I had the Japanese copy already, which came with the keyboard. But I wanted a PAL copy, and I got a nice reproduction PAL copy. But I actually got now the American copy of Typing of the Dead, so it's all English. So it's really cool. This game has been on my want list for a long while. It's not stupidly expensive, but it's not cheap either. It's been ported to a modern system, and it is Ikaruga. So really pleased to have that. Okay. This is not particularly a fantastic game. It is. This is a light gun shooter. I believe it is. It's Death Crimson OK. I think there's 3 Death Crimson games in total, and one got ported to PS2 as a Gun.com game, or what it was called, Guncom, or what it was called. But they're not particularly cheap either. I can't remember what I paid for that, but it wasn't ridiculously expensive, but it wasn't cheap either. Then Guilty Gear X. Guilty Gear. Is that X or 10? I know X is 10 in Roman numerals, but I don't know if it. I don't know. Anyway, Guilty Gear X. And I wanted this as well. I've got the PAL copies and stuff, but I wanted the Japanese copy. Virtual Cop 2. And one Dreamcast reproduction. This has been the compilation has been ported out to a Dreamcast, and the Garth Master showed it. He showed he showed it in his previous pickup video, but I asked my my Etsy. As I said on Etsy, it sells lots of reproduction games, and she prints them all out professionally on proper discs with artwork. And so I got her to do me a copy of Dreamcast of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for Cowabunga Collection. It's not identical to the PS4 versions you can get, because obviously there's not more functionality on those. But it's got the same games, but it's just you don't have those extra features on. It's nice to have a decent way of playing those on a Dreamcast. And like I said, that was about £12 with shipping. So I think it looks rather nice. Okay. Turning now to the Sega Saturn. And I've got quite a few goodies here to show you. First of all, there's one reproduction game which I'm going to get out of the way, so people aren't going to get. I know some people are anti-reproductions, which is fair enough. But for me, I like to have some games in a physical way of being able to play them on the machines, but I don't want to pay the full retail price for this. And this game, it's not cheap. This one is called Super Tempo. It's like a cartoony type, cute platforming type game. It's supposed to be really good. Again, I think you pay over £100 for original copy of this, but for about £10-12, I thought I'll get a nice decent reproduction copy. That'll do me on that game. Now the rest are original copies. Okay, this is one game which I've got on the PlayStation and a reproduction. Have I got a reproduction on the Japanese copy or was it original? I can't remember now. But anyway, it's ported to Power Territories and I thought I'll get a Power copy. I got this a long time ago and I can't remember what I paid for exactly. My wife's pulling faces at the door. Anyone know a cheap place to get divorces? Please leave it, comments in the below, and so I can access that. Well, not that I can afford that after buying these games. But anyway, wife say, I digress. Yeah. So what did I get? Parodius. Yeah. Nice Power copy. I think I paid about £70 more for it. I think that's how much I paid for it. But not cheap. Well, not stupidly expensive. I think it was £70, unless I got it mixed up with another price. Say it's between 45 and 70, somewhere behind. I said I probably bought that about 4 or 5 months ago, so I forget. Okay, this game I know I got this in CX 6 weeks ago, and it was £140. I saw it, and I thought because someone had dropped off a large share of Saturn games, and I thought, oh. I do have the Japanese copy of this, but should I get the Power copy? I do have a English Power burnt copy as well, but to play the game. But should I get the Power copy original, all complete? And I thought, oh, sod it. I looked online on eBay, and £140 is quite cheap compared to what you pay on eBay, so I got it Dragon Force, all complete in a nice set. So it's an RPG classic. Big hit on a Saturn. It's nice to have. Okay. I've got the Japanese port of this, and I didn't realise I was a Power copy of this. And so I thought, oh shit, I better get a Power copy because I got some other Darius Power games, and that's Darius Gaiden. Yeah. Power copy. I can't remember what I paid for it. It wasn't expensive. Not a cheap game, but it wasn't. I got a good deal on it. Whatever. Okay, Saturn, Japanese. Right, these other games I got because a lot of them were cheap, and I thought, should I have them? And I thought, shall I or not? So I've got some, and I thought I'll get the complete subset, and that is all the Mobile Suit Gundam games on the Saturn. So a lot of these were not expensive. I managed to get them for about £7. Some were a bit more, maybe £17. So we got Mobile Suit Gundam. First one. And then we got one that's it's just called, I'll give it check names. Yeah, it's just called Mobile Suit Gundam. And there's Mobile Suit Z Gundam, Kahon, whatever, Japanese title. A lot of these Japanese titles, I've got them in English in the back, but they're just so unpronounceable. This one is Mobile Suit Z Gundam. Another one there. And there's another one there, which is Mobile Suit Gundam Gaihen's Reed, or what it's called. And then Skyrim's Ambition as well. That's actually got a crack on the case. I've got to swap that out for another CD type case. Yeah, so I've got all those. And the reason why I got those is because there's 3 other games as well, which come in a nice gatefold presentation pack with artwork and everything. And so there's Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story 1, 2 and 3. And these games are not expensive. Again, they're about a tenner each. And I just saw those and I thought, oh, they're so lovely, aren't they? So I got these 3 and I thought, should I get the other Mobile Suit Gundam games? I thought, well, if there's not too many, I might if they're cheap, and there's not that many. So that's what I've done. There's also a SD Gundam game, G Centuries, which I got here, which I'll probably never play. And a lot of those Mobile Suit Gundam games I probably will never play the Japanese copies because it's a bit technical. So it's a bit of a silly thing to have, really, but when they're cheap, you're sort of tempted, aren't you, sometimes? Guess it gets a quite shelf filler, but it's also a way in this that even Japanese games are starting to creep up in value. Okay, what we've got here. I had a reproduction copy of this on the Saturn, but I wanted the original, so Gunbird. Can't remember what I paid. Death Crimson. Again, this is the first light gun shooter, but I showed the other one on the Dreamcast. This is original, and apparently this is a terrible, terrible game. But it's still a light gun game on the Saturn, so I had to have it. Another Daytona Trim B Yahoo Deluxe Pack. I showed a PlayStation copy of this, and I've got the Saturn copy as well. And another space shooting type game, which this is actually another repo. So there was two repos, another conversion here. G Factor. It's a bit of a the graphic style controls work a bit like a lot of vector games. They tend to go up. What's it called? Oh god. Tempest type style shooting gameplay type. There's a bit of that going on, I think. I could be wrong. But anyway, it's a good space shooter game, G Factor, but the original's really expensive and I didn't want to pay the original silly money for it, but I got a reproduction. So there's two reproduction on the Saturn, so apologies for that. Okay. Right, also on the Saturn we have King of Fighters 95 with a cartridge. Now the reason why I got this, even though I got a PAL copy, is that on my PAL copy it did not come with the cartridge. Because I was thinking that, oh well, it'll just play with the other cartridges, because with a Saturn sometimes you need a 1 meg or 2 meg cartridge or 4 meg cartridge. But there are two games. One is King of Fighters 95 and one is like an Ultraman game, whereby it is a dedicated cartridge, and the game will not play without it. And the cheapest way of getting that cartridge is to get a Japanese copy. And a lot of the Japanese copies cost the same price as the box copy with the game. So that's what I've done. I just did that. So I think that was about £25. Just to have the cartridge so I can play my PAL copy of the game. But I thought I might as well get a few other King of Fighters games, so that's what I've done. So I've got Wheel Bout Special. This is Wheel Bout Fatal Fury Special, all complete with a cartridge. And Fatal Fury 3, just a standalone copy. This one is. They weren't super really expensive. I can't remember what I paid, but they weren't silly money. And I showed you a copy of Sonic Wings on the PS2, and there's Sonic Wings Special on the PS1, which I've got PAL, but there's also Sonic Wings Special on the Japanese Saturn, so this is it. I had a repo of this, I wanted the original copy, so this is what I've got, so it's really nice to have that as well. And last but not least on the Saturn, we have sort of cute 'em up. It is Sushi Pie Adventure with Throbbing Nightmare. I think that's a very girthy type name, isn't it? The Throbbing Nightmare. Yeah. Basically, I think there's like a mini game in it, which is it's top down type shooting type element, top down. So that's why I got it. It was so cheap. I got this from a PAL seller. I think it was about £8 or £9, and it's got the art, with the Obi card and everything. So really cheap. Okay, that is all my pickups, apart from one which I got months and months ago, and I've just had it on the side. Now I've not shown it. And that is another Neo Geo game. I'm not a big MVS collector because it's just so expensive. But I got an MVS multi-cart. What was this? 164 or 154 or what it is in one, which is good. Which I got from, which I use with the Magic Key on my NES. NES, my Neo Geo AES. That's right in it. Yep. But I wanted a copy of this game for ages, and that is Strikers 1945 Plus. It's one of my favourite shooting games. It's probably my favourite shooting game, full stop, on the Neo Geo. This is a pop-up MVS copy from the States. I think it is an American one, isn't it? Okay, yeah, it came from the States. Nice blue. It's got the hologram on it and everything. It comes with a receipt. I sort of printed how to play picture too, which is a nice little bonus. Yeah, and I got off from a seller in France. I got a nice popper box, a nice, really attractive box to keep it in, because the game was not cheap. I think the box was about 40 quid and the game was about, what did I pay? I think it was about between 200 and 220. So it's £260 for a game, which I do have on other systems, which is mad. You may think, why have you got it? Because there was always one physical MVS game I wanted, and if I was going to get one MVS game on a Neo Geo, it was this. So it's really nice to have a real physical copy of that. So that's it really. So it's a big expenditure which I got a bit of it on and got. But that's it. I'm not going to buy any other MVS stuff. I know James has got a few MVS bits. Or was it AES he's going for? I can't remember now. But he's got a few goodies. But yeah, and that'll do me. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. No way. I've got enough expense elsewhere. So that's it. So guys, a monster pickup of lots of retro goodies. I hope you found something of interest to you. You know, I think I covered a lot of systems, didn't I? Really. So yeah, so that's really cool. That's it for now, guys. I probably may do a collection video next time. I'm sort of tempted. I mean, I do want to do a game room video, which I could do at some point, because of all the work I've done to a game room which I wanted. So I'll either do a collection video or the long overdue game room stroke game house tour video. It'll be one of the two. I think I'll do that next, then it'll be another pickup, because I do have quite a few Switch and PS4 stroke PS5 games to show, but I thought I'll keep those for another video. Today it's just purely the old stuff, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. So that's it for now. I hope you're all doing well. Take care until next time. Bye.